Hey there, this is Charlotte Reeves from Unleashed Education. Today we're going to be diving into some of the new features that have come with the latest version of Adobe Lightroom. That's version 12. They've updated some of the masking and I'm looking forward to seeing how the new features go on my pet photographs. I'm hopefully going to try and keep this to 5 minutes or less, so it should be a pretty quick watch. So without further ado, let's dive in. So in this new version of Lightroom, there are 3 new AI-powered masking features that might be helpful for us as pet photographers. The first one of those is the people masking. Now, you might be an animal-only photographer, or you might include the owners or the caretakers of the animals in the photos as well. So if you do that, this could be handy for you. Let's take a look at how this works. So we go into the masking the regular way. It's giving us 3 different options at the top: subject, sky, and background. And then objects, which is new, brush, linear gradient, radial gradient, and range. So those 4 bottom ones we always had access to. Now at the bottom, you might notice that you've got a new section here called people. You might need to fold that out if it's not already. And Lightroom has gone ahead and recognized the person in this image already. If we hover over this little icon here, you can actually see how it's recognized the person. It's pretty amazing. If I then click on that, it will go in and recognize features of that person. So if I hover over these, we've got face skin, body skin, eyebrows, important, lips, and hair. So if we wanted to adjust any of those individually, we would just tick 1 or even maybe 2. If you want to do face skin and body skin, all the skin, go create mask. And then you've got the skin of that person. So this can be handy for correcting things like skin tones. Now, if you're wondering what this black and white overlay is, I've just got it turned on through the mask overlay mode, white on black, just so you can see a really quick and easy representation of what is and isn't being masked while I'm demonstrating this new mask stuff. You're probably more used to seeing it in color overlay mode, which gives you the red overlay. Okay, so that's the person there. As you can see, when it selected her, it did a pretty good job of not selecting the dog, which is good. I have been playing around and it can be a little bit hit and miss. Now, say you wanted to select the dog on the left. So previous to this version of Lightroom, you might just do a select subject, which you can still do. And then if you wanted to only adjust the dog on the left, you would then subtract, maybe with a brush, this area here. So the latest version of Lightroom offers a better way to do this. So instead of that, it will allow you to select an object. So if we go into objects, there's 2 different modes for object selection. There is a brush and there is also drawing a rectangle around that object. So let's take a look at the brush. You can adjust the size of the brush, and you would just loosely draw over the object that you wanted to select, just like that. And it will calculate and find the edges of that object, and it actually does a pretty good job if you have a look on black and white mode. The fur masking around the edges is actually pretty good. So the other way you can select an object is using the rectangle, and in this case you would basically just draw around the object. And again, that does a pretty good job. All right, next image here, we've got 2 subjects. So let's see if it recognizes them both. It says detecting people, and there we go. Person 1 and person 2. And it's even done a pretty good job of not selecting the dogs. So that's really good. Now, this is probably a more clear photo of both of these people in here. So we've actually got a few different options. Face skin, body skin, eyebrows, eye sclera, which is the whites of the eyes, in case you needed to brighten that. Iris and pupil, which is really cool. Lips, teeth, and hair. So you can really make very precise selections if you're wanting to enhance the look of people in your images. Next up, let's just take a look at this silhouette, just as a test, just to see what it does. Detecting people. There we go. Person 1, that's pretty good, includes the dog, but that's fine. Person 2, we have a dog. And person 3, that's actually pretty good too. So it does get a little bit confused sometimes, but overall it does a pretty good job of selecting those different figures in there. Okay, next up, what happens when we don't have the person's face in the image? Does it still detect them as a person? Let's take a look. So it actually comes up with no people found. Now, if we did want to just select the dog in this case, we could use a new object selection. So maybe just with a brush, let's just quickly brush over the dog. You don't even have to go all the way into the inside. As long as you form a complete outside border, it does a pretty good job. So there we go, there's the dog selected. That's quite cool. Okay, another AI-powered masking tool that we have with this new version of Lightroom is background selection. So previously, if you wanted to select the background, you would select the subject and then you would invert it. So having the ability to just select the background straight off the bat saves a step there. So if we go select background, that's pretty good. It selected everything that's not the subject. Let's go to the next image. Now, this image has quite a bit of foreground as well, and it is a background selection. So I want to see if I can fool to only selecting the background. Something tells me that it's just going to select everything that's not the subject, but let's give that a go. So select background. Yep. Basically, we've just got everything that's not the subject, which can definitely be helpful. So in addition to the new AI-powered masking tools that we've also got a new feature called Healing with Content-Aware Remove. We've always had the healing tools in Lightroom, which to be honest, usually are pretty rubbish. I don't use them because they don't do a great job. But let's see if the content-aware actually makes a difference here. So for this image here, say we wanted to get rid of the figure in the background. We would make sure that this mode is selected, which is the content-aware remove. And we would just draw around this thing that we want to remove and watch it do its magic. That's actually not too bad. It's not what I would call a finished result. So I'm definitely seeing some issues with what it's done here that would still need to be fixed up. To be honest, I would probably just still do this in Photoshop because you're going to have to fix it up anyway. Let's try it on something a little bit smaller. So for example, if we wanted to remove, maybe this bit here. So we'd go into this tool here, make the brush a bit smaller and just kind of get rid of maybe that. That's done a reasonable job as well, but again, it's not perfect. Something you can do to improve it is actually hold down Command and then draw a marquee over an area where you want it to sample from. So let's just try that. Again, it still hasn't done a great job there. So I don't think Lightroom is quite there yet, but let's have a look and see how it handles something that we as pet photographers are doing on a daily basis, and that is leash removal. So let's just zoom in so we can see this. I'm going to make that brush a little bit smaller. All right, let go, it's analyzing, it's doing its thing. And the result that's given us is this. It's not fantastic, is it? This is something that I would definitely still be doing in Photoshop. Let's see, just to make sure, just to be thorough, let's see how it does with a hideously ugly lead like this one that is very clear and hopefully easy to remove. So again. Ooh, again, it's not fantastic. It's really not fantastic, is it? Okay, so that is something that I probably won't be doing in Lightroom. However, some of the other stuff, in particular the object selection, is going to be really handy as a pet photographer, and I really think it's going to help speed up my workflow in Lightroom. So all in all, some good updates, some stuff that's not quite there yet. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I bet you I've gone over 5 minutes, but hopefully it's worth it. I'll catch you next time.